So my cousin Christina has been trying to help me come up with ideas of things to make videos about because I'm kind of running out. By the way, if you have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to make a video about whatever dish you want to see me cook. Anyway, she really wants to see chicken tetrazzini. So today, that's what we're making. So I have a Dutch oven basically on the stove, medium heat. I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. Let them melt together. And I'm going to add a half of a teaspoon of salt and a half of a teaspoon of white pepper. I'm going to use tongs to mix them around. There we go. It's all together. Now I'm going to add 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. We're just going to cook these about 4 or 5 minutes on each side until they're thoroughly cooked. And then we're going to shred them. So they're in. I'm going to set my timer and we'll be back. Alright, so our chicken has been cooking on one side for 4 minutes. I did put the lid on my Dutch oven just to keep the heat in. Now I'm going to flip it over. And we're going to cook for another 4 minutes on the other side. Although it looks like it's going to take a little bit longer than that. There we go. Lid back on, another 5 minutes. Okay, so it took about 20 minutes total to cook the chicken. We did 10 minutes on each side. I had to flip it over again. But now it's done. We're going to pull it out. I'm going to put it in this giant bowl and then let it cool down just a little before we shred it. And in the meantime, we're going to cook our mushrooms. So, same pot. We're going to add a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil again. And then a pound of sliced mushrooms. I'm using Baby Bella's because I like the way that they taste. Woo. Now I'm just going to stir these around, get them in the juice that's there, and then we're going to let them sit about 12 minutes, and then we'll be back. So our mushrooms have been cooking for about 12 minutes. Look how pretty they look. Gorgeous. Now I'm going to add 5 teaspoons of minced garlic, a teaspoon of thyme, and an onion that I chopped earlier. And we're going to stir that around and then leave it to cook for another 8 minutes. And while that is cooking, I'll set my timer and then I'm going to try to shred the chicken. We'll see if it's cool enough yet. Okay, so here's our chicken. And I'm just going to take 2 forks and kind of shred it. We're just going to continue until all the chicken is shredded. Just like that. Okay, so our onions have been cooking for about 8 minutes and they are translucent, which is exactly where we want them to be. Now I'm going to take a half a cup of white wine, dry white wine. And I'm going to stir it in. And then we're going to let that cook until the wine evaporates. It should only take about 2 or 3 minutes. And then we're going to move this to the bowl with our chicken, which we have finished shredding. So our wine has dissolved. Now I'm just going to take this mushroom and onion mixture and put it right in my bowl with my chicken. And now we're going to make our sauce. So in the same pan where we have cooked the chicken and the mushrooms and the onions and all the other stuff, we're going to melt 3 more tablespoons of butter. And once that melts, we're going to add 1/3 cup of flour and make our roux. So I'm going to add my 1/3 cup of flour. Let this cook for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to add some cream and milk. Okay, so I have 4 cups of milk at room temperature. I have a cup of chicken broth, also at room temperature. And a cup of heavy cream, also at room temperature. Now I'm going to add 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And I'm going to eyeball this because my 1/8 teaspoon got eaten by the garbage disposal. And then we're going to whisk until most of the flour dissolves. We're going to turn this on high, get it to boil, then reduce it to a simmer, and let it thicken up so it'll become our sauce. Alright, so I got all the clumps of flour out. Now I'm going to increase the temperature to about an 8, so medium-high, and we're going to let that come to a boil. Meanwhile, we're going to cook our pasta. So I don't know if you noticed, but I have this nice big pot of water over here. So it is boiling. We're going to add 12 ounces of linguine as soon as we come back. So I have 12 ounces of linguine, and I am not going to break it this time. I'm going to let it just cook in the water. And as it heats up, you'll notice it falls all the way into the water, even though part of it is sticking out right now. It'll continue to do that. Just like that. And we're going to cook this for about 8 minutes, and then we'll add it to our bowl with our chicken and our mushrooms. So our sauce is boiling. I'm going to take it down to about a 2, and we're going to leave it uncovered for about 10 minutes and let it simmer down and thicken up. So our pasta has been cooking for 8 minutes. Now I'm just going to drain it. And add it to the bowl with the chicken, the mushrooms, the onions, all of that yummy stuff. Now we're going to stir up everything that's in here. So the chicken, the mushrooms, the pasta, everything, including, we're going to add 3/4 cup of frozen peas. And I'm just going to try to toss it all together with my tongs while we wait on our sauce to finish. And then we'll be back. Alright, so our sauce has been thickening up on the stove for about 10 minutes. Now I have a casserole dish here where I have put a tablespoon of butter inside, and I'm just going to rub it around. And this just makes sure that it doesn't stick when we bake it. There we go. I'm going to take the sauce, and I'm going to pour it right into my bowl. Now I'm just going to stir the sauce in, make sure it gets into all the nooks and crannies, all over. And once that is done, we're going to pour it straight into our casserole dish. So my best friend and I have debates all the time on what constitutes a casserole. Can you have a sweet casserole? Are they only savory? Do casseroles have to include meat? But I think we have decided that for us, it just has to be cooked in one pan with a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of parsley to the top. Like that. And then I have a cup of Parmesan cheese and a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. And see, this is the important part that I told her is casserole-ish, at least as far as the South is, because my best friend lives in New Jersey. And it's that it has to have some kind of topping, usually breadcrumbs. It could be like fried onions, that's how you have a green bean casserole. It could be pecans, that's how we get a French toast casserole. But it has to have some kind of topping that is spread over the top. Broccoli cheese rice has cheese. So, now that I've mixed the breadcrumbs and the Parmesan cheese, we're just going to put it over the top. And there we are. Now I'm going to bake this in a 450-degree oven for 25 minutes. So it's been 25 minutes. Our chicken tetrazzini is done. And there we are. We need about 5 minutes to let it cool off and stop bubbling, and then we'll dig in.